So that's the third one. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call our meeting to order and ask everyone to rise for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Good evening, everyone. This first part of the meeting is open to citizen comments. If you would like to address the board, come to the podium. This first bout of citizen comments is anything that is related to anything that's on our agenda. So if you would like to address the board with something that is not on our agenda, you'll have an opportunity to do that at the end of our meeting. So if anybody would like to address the board on agenda items, you may step to the podium and you will have 3 minutes.
I just have a question. What's on the agenda? I just came.
It should be sitting right there. Give you a minute to look. So would anyone like to address the board at this time? Okay, moving on to celebrations. Adam.
Good evening, board members. Celebrations for this evening, just 2 stories that we've highlighted on the website. The first is students from the 8th grade Advanced Social Studies U.S. History course attended the We the Students Showcase at Wayne State University. For those of you that were familiar with some of their hearings and trials they did at the local level, this was the next step for that, being able to participate with panelists from around the state and students from other schools. So Ms. Lindsay Bolus is the teacher for this class and facilitated the trip through her grant. And from all accounts, the students had an excellent educational experience being able to participate at that venue. Second story featured on the website is for students somewhat similar, from Williamston High School. We had a team attend the Math Field Day event at U of M Flint. This is a competition for teams of students focused on mathematics from around the state. And in our first year entering, our team won their division. We also had an individual recognition and a team of 2 recognition as part of that group that attended. This was facilitated by Mr. Rasmus at the high school. So congratulations to both teachers and groups of students for their participation in those events.
Any questions for Adam?
Do we have spots for academic trophies as well?
We don't have spots for trophies of any kind right now. That's probably going to be a summer project to figure out where we're going to start putting all this stuff. So, yeah, good question.
Good problem. Yeah.
Next up, education update. Sarah.
Yeah, so the last few weeks we've really been digging into our ESSER compliance and trying to meet all those requirements. And in doing so, I just wanted to bring this item to your attention. Well, we'll bring the whole page to your attention in the community. So if you go to our website and you go to our transparency page, you can find all of our COVID ESSER type items underneath the COVID-19 learning and preparedness plans and ESSER transparency link. So just so you always know and the community knows, you can always find your information there. What we did in the last few weeks with this compliance is I did change the name of one of the documents to meet the requirements. All the pertinent information was already in there and it meets those requirements, but we just had to change the name. So just, you know, that's updated on there. And we just updated the dates to ensure we're including these current school years, even though the plan was created a few years ago. So it's really just an FYI that we have made some changes and to make sure you know everything can be found out in this area. But nothing other than that is significant in change.
Any questions for Sarah? Superintendent's report, Adam.
Upcoming presentation items, on the 1st of April, there'll be a special board meeting to review the Treasury application for the 0 mil increase bond proposal. On the 8th of April, you'll have an update on athletics and enrichment from Mr. Paulson, and on the 6th of May will be the first of the school handbook and education updates. That one will be by Explorer Elementary and Discovery Elementary. Upcoming event dates. On the 7th to the 9th of May, we'll have our staff appreciation lunches. As always, the board is encouraged to attend. I could also use some help this year with passing out staff appreciation items. The high school is on the 7th. Their first lunch starts at 11. On the 8th of May is the middle school. It begins at 11 as well. And on the 9th of May, the elementary, as you're probably familiar with, has a very long lunch period. That's something that we hope we can address through the previously mentioned 0 mil increase bond. But they start at 10:40, and that runs through the bulk of the day. So you can either be there at the beginning or anytime you'd like to stop by to assist with that if you're available on those dates. The other date of note, now officially on the schedule, is the district retiree open house. That is set up for the 29th of May at 4 o'clock in the high school commons, as is usually the location. And thanks to Betsy for organizing that, as always. More information and formal invitations to follow. Those are, that's the superintendent's report for this evening, pending any questions.
I can help out with all of those dates.
Awesome, thank you.
I can as well.
You can also, Deb?
Yes.
Are those being catered in-house?
Yes, food service department.
And it does a nice job.
Any other questions for Adam? And I'm sure some of you don't know your schedule or whatever that might be. These are open. You can show up as your schedule allows. Board committee reports. Housing. Julie.
We had our first housing committee recently, and we had a really good turnout. We had a great discussion. Adam put on a phenomenal presentation that really dived really deep into the numbers that I don't think many of the people in the room had ever seen or even ever considered, frankly. And that really allowed some dialogue to open up and have some really fresh conversation into what they could maybe be doing. So we're gonna set another one up for next quarter, within 3 months. They have their takeaways to look at different tax incentive zones, check out their current zonings to see if there is any flaws in their current zonings, talk with some local builders to see if there's anything that maybe is a preconceived kind of notion that people might have about some of the areas in our school district. We have many different municipalities, but all of them are going to check out. Amanda gave some great information in reference to MISHDA funds that might be available that we were distributing. We talked about adding senior housing, condo small footprint, ADU, looking at the taxes. They're quite high in some of the areas and seeing if that maybe is a reason. But I think it was just, Adam's presentation really gave a fresh perspective to everybody and allowed everybody to walk away with some newfound desire to find out really what the problem may be. The slides really did show that we do have a problem compared to the rest of mid-Michigan and the state as a large, our specific school district. So very encouraging and look forward to the next meeting.
Has that meeting been set yet?
I don't think it has been set yet, but we told Adam within the 90 days from now to allow everybody to go. So I'm assuming, I don't know if we'll get one in before the end of the school year, if it'd end up somewhere maybe midsummer, probably where it's gonna end up, but.
I think we wanted to make sure there was a representative from the Michigan Housing Home builders,
MSHA,
Michigan
yeah,
Home
well, the
Builders
Home Builders
Association.
Association, I have a call in to see if they can attend. We also have a couple builders that we're reaching out to see if they can attend and what dates are good for them. But we did want them to kind of approach. I said, if I approach a builder, it's probably gonna be a lot different than if the person in charge approaches the builder, because then it gets into a he said, she said kind of thing. So we really encourage them that we have builders and signs all over that if you know somebody in the area, to seek them out and really ask them if they have any preconceived notions of maybe it's difficult to build in Williamstown Township, or it's difficult to get certain zoning requests done, and to have those open conversations with builders that are building in the areas, and kind of see that. But I think we did kind of break it down that us talking to individual builders probably wasn't gonna give us, because then it would just run into that. But the Home Builders Association is somebody where we can have a good dialogue with, I think, because it's a third party. They
And
were
you're
pretty
reaching
busy
out
this
to
week
them.
because they had the home show, but they said that they would be in contact with me after the home show, which just ended this weekend.
Perfect, good. I think this is really good momentum. There's a lot of people on here. I think listening to different meetings and talking to, getting some responses, I'm surprised that many people showed up. So I think that's a really
Yeah.
good showing. So let's keep the momentum going on that and having discussions.
Do we know if, at the next meeting, have we reached out to Leroy or Meridian to see if any representatives from those townships are coming?
I don't think that we reached out to Meridian Township. I haven't reached out, but I could always reach out to both of them and see if they want to attend.
They were invited to the meeting we
were,
just
okay.
had.
They just didn't come.
Correct, but they'll be invited to the next one as well.
Great, thank you.
And I would add that I thought everyone left on a really positive note and was enthusiastic about finding answers and doing something. So it was totally different from the talks I gave earlier, so it was very nice.
I saw it's my understanding, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of our business office staff helped put that presentation together.
Mhm.
But it was very well done. I got to see it, and I think it, and Adam did a really good job presenting. I think it probably is a lot of information. I think sometimes people like to just give their opinion because for what they see, and that's a lot different than what the facts are, and Adam's, the presentation was all facts, so I'm sure it was a little eye-opening for some of them.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, keep up that good work. Next, discussion items, leave request. There was a leave request by a staff member in your packet. Adam, is there anything you want to add to this?
No, Ms. Sadish Kumar has requested a leave for family reasons. Should be gone about a month or so. As you can see in the memos, we support and wish her and her family well and look forward to having her back.
So my guess is she's already gone and we're just kind of back doing this.
Yeah, I think it was a semi-urgent situation,
okay.
so like we've treated some others. Yes.
All right, do we have any questions for Adam about this? Are we all comfortable voting on this and April? We could put this on to vote April 1st, that April 1st meeting?
I don't
Or
think it
April 8th,
matters. I
doesn't
mean, she
matter.
won't be back unless
And there
Sarah,
won't be
unless
any
you had.
change to her,
yeah.
we're following the contract, her benefits are, the way the timing's working out, there's no change, so.
So it can wait till April 8th? Okay, so we'll put it on for April 8th. Thank you. Next, Headley. Are you taking this or Sarah?
Well, I can start. So the Headley ballot language is the official language for the board to review and then approve at a future meeting for the Headley Headley hedge to our operating millage. Just to review this, the state assumes we are receiving 18 mills as part of our local contribution, which is paid primarily through local businesses and households that do not have the homestead exemption tax. Over time, as property values increase, that Headley rollback will kick in, which then decreases the overall millage rate we're receiving from our operating mills, 18 operating mills, to less than that. So when the state assumes that that's what we're receiving. So what's happening now, the district is receiving less funding than the state assumes it's receiving. And this is a ballot initiative to reset, not increase, but reset the millage rate to 18 mills, which again is what the state assumes all local districts are supposed to be receiving.
And this only affects people that have, this is their second home.
Yeah, if they don't
Correct.
claim this as their homestead exemption, so if you have a second home and that home is in Williamston, or if you own a business in Williamston, this is applicable. The vast majority of folks do not pay this.
Any questions on this?
It's a very small amount in the aggregate. Well, in the aggregate, it adds up. At the individual level, it's going to be very small. So I think, Sarah, if I'm not mistaken, we're estimating about $20,000 to $22,000 in revenue.
Yeah, I think we ended up like 23, just depending on how property values change too.
The last piece I'll mention is the hedge, because that's a little different than just the reset to 18. So it's always going to be at 18 mils. It won't surpass that. It stays at 18. What the hedge does is it pushes, it creates a kind of an account that you can draw from. So as the years progress and the 18 mils starts to be reduced again through the heavily rollback, what will happen is you'll just draw from that hedge fund to keep it at 18 mils, so that going back for another ballot initiative isn't necessary until this expires to be completely reset sometime in the mid 2030s. So the hedge is not an increase. It can only be at 18 mils. It'll only be at 18 mils. But just to keep this from happening, because there's likelihood every year or two it's going to continue to reduce down from 18, the hedge just keeps it whole at the 18 mils. The ballot language, while required legally to be written that way, can be a little misleading. And so it's just important to be clear in terms of what this is and what this isn't.
Any other questions? So this is separate then from the bond. Can this wait until the 8th, or do you want this voted on April 1st?
An 8th is fine.
On the 8th. Okay, so if we're all comfortable, we'll move this to the meeting on the 8th. And then we have a whole list of probationary teachers. And I shout out to all of the principals. These are really nice write-ups, and it makes it much easier to kind of go through. Do you have anything to add? Are there any questions?
Well, I think it speaks to the just the number of folks that are listed here. Speaks to the amount of talented new educators that we brought into the district over the last 4 to 5 years. This is a pretty impressive group, a long group, but again, I think it just speaks to the hard work that the principals have done through their hiring processes to attract and retain talent. And if you're not familiar with this group of educators, a very talented, exceptional group, to say the least. Concur with the principal's write-ups and that of Dr. Cook for the ancillary staff, and look forward to having these folks back for many years to come.
There's quite a list. Are there any questions on any of these? If you do, this is kind of an employment issue, so there is a level of confidentiality. So if you have specific questions about a specific teacher or ancillary staff, you can reach out to Adam. Otherwise, we will move these forward on the April 8th meeting. Next, high school administrative, athletic, and counseling office furniture.
Last 2 meetings, the board saw the quotes for the front half of the office, and as previously hinted at, this is the quote for the second half of the office. So just waited a little while to make sure this would be financially possible for us, but again, once this is complete, we will have then been able to go through and revamp all the main entrances to all the schools after this last one is completed.
Are there any questions about the furniture? We've been talking about this.
This is coming out of general.
This is coming out of the high school outlay fund that was established through an unanticipated reimbursement for transportation expenses. And so that is how we're covering actually both of the next two items,
Okay.
this item and the next one.
Thank you.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, the next one's sinking fund. It's how we covered the front half of the office that was discussed previously.
Any other questions? Okay, we will move this to, again, also to the April 8th meeting. Next, the performance gym.
So going back maybe 5-6 years ago, the floor in the gym was in need of significant attention. We didn't have any money, so we did it on the cheap using stickers that are really only designed to last a couple seasons. They have outlived their time, but we're at the point now where it's just not possible to continue to have them. They're peeling away and actually pushing up through the wax floor or the wax on the floor. There's also a number of spots on the performance gym floor that are in need of repair. They've either been gouged out from dragging equipment over it, or there's just dead spots on it because it's a sinking floor. So the quote here is to completely strip the floor down, pull up floorboards where necessary to repair those, and then this time when the court goes back on, the surface of the court to paint it, which is the long-term fix. And then that should hopefully give us many more years of useful life than we got with the stickers, although they looked great, at least in my opinion.
They did look good.
But they were just never meant to be more than a couple-year fix, and we got, like I said, probably five or 6 years out of them.
I did notice on two of the bids, it talked about the dead spot in the key, but on one bid, it talked about the dead spot being repaired, but the other two didn't talk about repairing. I'm assuming that dead spot's gonna be repaired through all of the bids.
Yeah, well, yes, the one we've chose includes that as well, but there is also the caveat in the support recommendation that there's a chance there might be additional cost as they pull up the boards. If there's like a, I don't know how to explain it properly, but there's like a base under the floating floor that might also have damage that they need to go in and repair potentially. So that's why the sinking fund allocation has a buffer there to anticipate there might be some additional costs once they get in there and see what it's going to be required. Yeah, the one on the key closest to the concession stand is the famous one that everybody who's played basketball there knows, or even maybe even potentially volleyball. But there's some other spots throughout the court as well. There's a pretty good gouge on the other side. It looks like maybe a band instrument or a cart got it. So it's a little rough in spots, but hopefully we can keep this under the cap that we've set.
Any other questions about the floor? Okay, we'll move that to April 8th also. Smart device policy, you're back. We've been talking about this, or we talked about this 2 weeks ago, kind of pushed the discussion. People had some other, we're looking at other information, some other information. Just to recap, we kind of, this was something that came from teachers wondering what could they do in class. This would be something that goes into the handbook, so if this is something we want to do, we will need to kind of decide to move this forward for a vote April 1st, so the high school has a chance to put something together in the handbook. So 2 weeks ago, we were kind of looking at doing nothing. That's kind of one option. Another would be to not allow students to use the phone in the classroom, or not in the classroom or passing class, or not at all in the building. I did have a couple people ask me, well, you know, so-and-so's teacher you know, they use their phone to do this or that or something. I think that's up to the teacher's discretion. Like if you have to, I do know I've been at workshops where you have some weird thing, not weird, I shouldn't say that. You, like there's a question and you answer the question and then it tells you whether you're right or wrong, but it doesn't tell the whole class whether you got right or wrong, and it gives you a percentage of how you're doing that. I assume you could also do that on your, the Chromebooks that they have, but I'm not that technology savvy to really know that. So I do think if there is something special that the teachers were needing their kids to use their phones for, I don't know what that is. That would have to be between the teacher and the administration, because again, I'm not that techie savvy. They would have that discretion, or I guess that would be up to the administrator whether they have that discretion. But again, I'm gonna open this up to all of you and see what you researched, found out, read, what your thoughts are.
Well, I listened to the podcast that Adam sent us, and I was kind of wavering back and forth, seeking more information, and it pretty much affirmed how I felt anyway. And I've since seen some other things on television. There was a private school out east, I think, that expected a huge riot when they banned cell phone use on the school premises. And they found that the students actually rejoiced. And they said, wow, we don't have to look at it because nobody's on, because everybody's is off. And they actually felt they could focus on their schoolwork rather than looking at notifications and other things. So I am leaning towards all or nothing. I think a partial use of it, if there's a policy that you can use it in the classroom but not in the hallways, it defeats the whole purpose of having kids socialize at in between times, because they don't socialize if they're looking at their phone all the time. And that's what you see at lunch times, this. And the kids who felt alone are more alone. So that's where I stand.
Anybody else?
I think I would agree with Deb. I mean, there was just another article that was and I didn't send it today, I was researching it today, but it was a pretty big, where I think the survey said over 60% of the kids actually said that they liked having be restricted. 44% says that having their cell phone with them causes them anxiety throughout the day. And 60% said that they would not mind a ban. This was a big, I think it was 1,784 kids between the ages of 12 and 17. There was just this big college that did a survey in the state of Ohio. So figured I didn't send it out to you guys. So, I mean, it just kind of, to me, confirmed the fact that maybe our younger kids, 18 and under, are asking for guidance and restrictions. And, so I'm kind of with, it's like, I think I said this before though, it's like, do we want to do it because of the mental health challenges or the just in class that 55 minutes? And if we're really looking at it as a mental health in addition, then really it's, to me it has to be something that's through the entire school day. Like they can have it in their possession, like in their backpack, and it's not like Flint where it's like you can't bring it into the school. But I just think if we're gonna make that move, that we just be bold with it, because I think there is enough information legislatively people have been producing, and enough data that basically is saying that there's not a lot of harm coming from it, that they are finding that it's beneficial to them in that short term afterwards.
Anybody else?
I feel like I'm inclined to mimic the middle school model versus going all out in a complete ban. But it's just a huge change, so I like the model in the middle school plan, leaves a little wiggle room.
And the middle school has them at lunch.
Yeah.
They're allowed to have them at lunch.
I'm feeling that way as well at this point. I mean, I think jumping in 100%, I think we need to test it and see how it's working versus taking everything away and then trying to scale back if it's not working.
And we haven't, surveyed our kids at all, right?
No, not formally, no. Staff were surveyed back in the fall through the association, and the admin team discussed as was requested. I can give you an update on that if you like, or.
That'd be good.
So we met at our most recent leadership team meeting, as was noted in previous conversations with area superintendents and actually superintendents from outside the area. The toughest part of the only not having phones in the classroom piece was the enforcement of the policy. So kind of two lines of thought. One is acknowledging it's a pretty, it's a significant change to not have phones accessible at all. It would be a pretty big change. The other piece, though, is again honing in on the mental health provisions. That would assist most likely with the enforcement of the policy because it removes the temptation of students to have to get into the bathroom to check their phone or in their locker or wherever. Constantly having something right next to you that you can't use would be, I think, tough for any of us to avoid throughout the day. That said, the secondary administration did ask that if the board moved in that direction, the board also allocates the adequate resources to be able to support that. That might entail equipment. For example, there's the Yonder bags, I think that's what they're called, or some other similar products that allow students to keep phones or smart devices in throughout the day and then take back out at the end of school hours. They might also need additional personnel to help facilitate that before and after school, or at least find additional financial resources to support existing staff to serve in that capacity as students enter and exit the building. So, and then of course we did note that we haven't tried, the next step yet, so we don't know necessarily if students would be compliant and willing to give just not having it in the classrooms a try and honor that. But the biggest piece was, again, for mental health benefits, it's pretty clear from the administrative perspective that if that was the route the board took, not even having the temptation to check them throughout the day would be more advantageous and most likely more enforceable.
So is there any way we can get what that cost would be for those bags or whatever the devices is that you just talked about, and kind of a roundabout thought of price of what it would cost to have extra staff?
We could figure that out. We could definitely get a quote on the product.
I mean, if we do this and it, say we're going to go all in nothing, and administration wants this support, and it costs, I don't know, some outrageous price that we don't have right now, that's going to be kind of a null and void thing. So I'd like to, if we can somehow, it doesn't have to be set in stone, just somehow a roundabout number, that would help me. Julie and Dave, thoughts on this?
I do agree with Amanda and Chris. I like the idea of taking a more conservative approach and doing some analysis after the first semester, first year, seeing how everything's going, and get some community feedback and see, do we want to continue moving forward or stick with what we have. But I definitely see the wisdom in the mental health aspect as well.
Sarah?
I've always been a little concerned as to how you would enforce this during passing times. I mean, would staff be required to get out of their classrooms during passing time to observe students in the hallway? I mean, it's a requirement right now, so I just worry about the enforceable if we were to say we are not allowed to have cell phones, students are not allowed to have cell phones or smart devices. So it's hard for me to say yes to that without knowing more details. I mean, if it's gonna cost, I don't know, the wage of 2 teachers, I don't know if we can, you know, come up with that. When we have other mental health advocate positions that are grant funded that we're not sure that are able to support moving forward. I think that that's something that this board needs to be cognizant of, and I know that we will be moving forward with whatever decision is made. I think that I'm more inclined to do more of a partial and allow students to have it during passing time and during lunchtime, which is what the middle school currently has in place. And I think that, and if this was to go into effect next school year, it'll just be a couple years before those, you know, 6th graders now it'll just be the norm, right? It'll be something that you go from middle school all the way to high school, and it's no different.
And something I keep going back to is this was brought to us from staff saying, you know, what authority do I have? Do I have authority to take, you know, if they're on their phone in class and I ask them to put it away and they don't, or they put it away and bring it back out, do I have the authority to take it from them? And they can get it at the end of class, or they can get it at the end of the day, or they can get it, you know, whenever, however that goes. So I think they were asking for that. I think after, and I guess I could be corrected if I'm wrong, it seems like after research was done and all of that, then we're starting to see the positive of being taken away of the mental health piece. So I don't want anyone to feel like if we don't, I mean, when this first came, it was about what authority do I have as a teacher to take that phone away? Because if I take the phone away and a parent calls and the principal says you don't have that authority, then I've kind of lost that in the classroom. And that's what they were asking for. So regardless of what way we go, I don't think we have done a lot about our mental health at the high school and putting some things into place. So this is kind of a complicated thing, I get. Are we ready to, so Adam will get us some numbers to us we need that by April 1st. Are we ready to vote on something by April 1st? Are we ready to move this forward on April 1st? Because if we don't, then this isn't gonna, there won't be time to put this in the handbook. So, I mean, I'm not asking, it doesn't sound like I mean, I don't know if we'll get to a 7-0 vote or whatever that vote might be, but are you comfortable enough moving this forward to vote? Do you have the information you need so we can move to vote on this April 1st?
I mean, I think we need the information on if we go the route of what Adam was talking about and doing, like the yonder pouches. I mean, I think in my research, those were like $25 to $30 a pouch. So, I mean, it sounds like at the middle school, you know, if we decide to do it for middle school and high school, like if we don't think we have the problem, I mean, then that would probably be what, $24,000 or something. I mean, that's I'm just like doing math, like $30 times 800 kids, or, you know, it's $24,000. I think that installs some of the things. So, I mean, I think I'm ready to vote on making a decision to move forward somehow. You know, to me, I'm at whatever capability we want to. If we want to say you can have it out during lunch, you know, but I don't think I want to enter another school year without having any restrictions.
The biggest aha that I found in reading about this and listening to that podcast was that when there was a total ban, the kids all said, it's fine because nobody can use their phones, so there's nobody calling me and I don't have to call anybody else. So that whole anxiety issue about, am I getting a call, should I text? It's taken away, and then you can refocus on what you're in school for. So I've heard that several times from kids, so that's pretty cool.
I couldn't find an instance where anybody reversed their decision. I had my research, like, we made a decision and went back, because it did not work. Everything was like, we moved forward and glad we did it.
All right, well, that could be a roundabout number for the pouches and install. How, if you could, know some more numbers and get that to us, and then we will move to vote on something April 1st.
But the middle school doesn't have any kind of pouch system, correct?
They do not, and they get to have their phones out. They did have a total ban, and then last year or this year, they did allow them to have them at lunchtime. I don't know how many middle schoolers have phones, I don't, a lot?
Yeah, some of the I'll send the survey that we got. It was crazy the amount of kids, even like 5 years to 12 have phones.
Yeah.
I've had to use the pouch things a number of times.
You have?
I have, yeah. It's a thing with concerts.
Oh, yeah.
Some artists don't want phones interfering, and it's extremely panic-inducing.
Do you have to hand your pouch, but at a concert, when you do that, do they just give you the pouch and you put it in your bag, or you hold on to
You
it?
they hang on to it. It's big and bulky. Yeah, and you can't use it. So it's like I would rather not have it at all, because here's this thing I can't use. And several times I haven't been able to get the thing to open, and then I don't know. It's
I mean, kids could, if they didn't want to carry a pouch
and there's
around, they could
also
leave
every
it out.
time you're exit. I mean, I guess at a concert everyone gets out at the same time, but it's a madhouse for people trying to get to those machines to get your bag unlocked so you can get your
Right, so
phone.
that's what I would like to know, because there would have to be extra staff
Yeah,
to do that.
you
And how, like, we do have high schoolers that still take the bus, so how is that all maneuvered?
I think there's a video online, I'll have to send it, it's, when Philadelphia rolled it out, and they have like 4, the way it looked is all their entrances, they had like 4 on each wall, like 2 on one wall, 2 on the other wall. So like as you were, like here's what the pouch looks like. I mean, and so it's a magnet. I don't know why I was reading, it's like a big magnet, so literally you just touch it up against the magnet and unflip it, so it's just like a second or 2 to open it up, so it has to like some heavy duty magnet that releases it. And then you can pull your phone out and put it in. And they have different ones that are like Velcro, so if you are somebody that carries an EpiPen, like you still have that pouch, so your phone, but it's like Velcro, so you don't have to find a magnet if you need to call 911. And you wouldn't want anybody that had a health and safety issue not being able to access or to do something like that.
All right, well, if we can get that information, if we will move this for action on April 1st, and we'll see where we all fall out with it. If you have any questions or you want to bounce things off, please feel free to. All right, moving on, can I have a motion for our consent calendar, please?
Move the Williamston Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 4th, 2024 as presented.
Second?
So we have a first by Dave, second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We do not have any roll call items. Can I please have a motion for the part-time employment, Megan Carr?
I make the motion that the Williamston Board of Education, pending the hiring, hiring of a qualified music teacher to teach the remainder of the 2023-24 school year, approved half-time employment for Megan Carr for the remainder of the 2023-24 school year.
Second it.
So first first Sarah, second Deb. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Right now, the next is a motion for the Sex Education Advisory Board. Before I go to that motion, I do want everybody to see, because we are gonna have to choose people, so before we make a motion, I'm gonna move us into the discussion. Adam did send, again, all 4 candidates that have applied. It looks like we have 2 ninth graders, and 2 11th graders. I do know, and I do wanna hear, I guess, what your thoughts are, or what you guys are thinking. I do recognize, there was discussion wrapped around this, that are the younger students going to have the, how did you phrase it, Chris?
Maturity.
Are they gonna have the maturity level to be able to sit on this committee? One, we could, kind of maybe, seeing it's taken us so long to get someone to even apply for this, that is kind of a concern. Second, we could kind of look at it as a rolling thing where we take 1 freshman and 1 11th grader, and then by the time that, 11th grader graduates, maybe we'll get another person to apply. That was kind of my thought with all of this. Does anybody have any other thoughts?
I thought just by reading the responses on the forms, the 2 11th graders' responses were much more thought out and cogent. I mean,
They
Very
were,
much
you
so.
could tell they were more mature about it.
made a big difference to me.
And I don't know. I don't know if an adult said, hey, really answer those questions, and maybe for the 9th graders, they just handed them the paper.
Could be.
I don't know. There's a lot of, I do know, we could take 2 11th graders, and then we're gonna be sitting in the same spot, 2 years from now. So, I mean, just my opinion, and we should probably only use first names. I don't know any of these students, but I liked the Ava for the 9th grader. And if I was going to pick an 11th grader, and again, I don't know these students, so everybody can, have their opinion. I have no idea how to, I cannot read their name. Kendra, maybe?
I think it's Kennedy.
Kennedy?
Yes, it looks
Is that what it is?
Kennedy.
Kennedy. But I'm open to whatever your guys' thoughts are, but we do need to pick 2 individuals.
Adam, can you remind us what the term is? How many years the term is for a student?
I'll have to pull it up, but obviously the 11th graders
Yeah.
are gonna
they would be
graduate
terminated
before
by-
the term's
yeah.
completed.
Mhm.
I thought it was 4 years, but I'll confirm.
I mean, I'm not against picking a 9th and 11th grader. I think if I was to pick one of the 2 11th graders, I would pick the same one, based on the answers that they gave. I didn't feel one way or the other on the 9th graders. I mean, because I didn't feel like we got much out of the answers, and I don't know either of them. So, but I think there's potential for mentoring there between the 11th and the 9th grader to allow for that 9th grader to grow into the position.
And to be honest, I believe looking at the first student, the other 9th grader, they are already on student council and student government. I love the idea that we give students leadership positions. That is the only reason that I picked Ava. This would give her a chance to be on some type of hold a leadership position. And I assume she would like to do that, or she wouldn't have applied.
Sure.
But
So the chairs are 4 years and everybody else is 3. So more or less the freshmen would serve out their time at high school unless they chose to not be a part of it anymore at some time in the meantime. And the 11th graders, almost seniors, would be, a year and change.
I do know Kennedy, she's a sharp, I think she do a great job.
she would, and that's how it is Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other thoughts, but we do need to have a motion. Those are just my 2 suggestions, the Ava and Kennedy, for those reasons. But I'm open to another motion that you guys might have.
I'll make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education appoint Kennedy and Ava to serve on the Sex Education Advisory Board.
Second.
So we have a first from Chris, second from Dave. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Can I have a motion for the board policies that we will be adding?
Make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education add the following policies as presented: 5035 workplace accommodations for employees and applicants under state and federal law, 5210 F1 discrimination retaliation complaint form, and 5440 criminal justice information security non-criminal justice agency.
Second.
Okay, so we have a first from Chris, second from Sarah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for the board policies that we will be replacing?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education replace the following board policies: 1300 meetings, 1330 electronic Board of Education meetings, 1350 voting requirements, and 5210 employment complaint procedures as presented.
Second.
So first from Dave, second from Sarah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion for the board policies to revise and then remove?
Make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education revise policy 5430 hiring and background checks and remove 5175 criminal history and background checks and 5175R criminal history and background checks rules.
Second.
I heard Dave, sorry. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Our board goals are listed there. We do have correspondence, two correspondence from Julie Monette and Marion Shear. I'm gonna take these two first. I have worked with both of these ladies and have known them since I started here almost 20 years ago. And Julie Monette is, I kind of a force to be a force, but very quiet. She's quiet, petite, but handles and has handled since the very, very beginning our interventions. And that takes in quite a bit to make sure all the students get tested and look at those test scores and keep all of our interventionists doing their job with that it's valid and watching those kids make progress. And I think she's even seen some kids now. So she's done a lot for our school district and will be missed. Marion Shear has been a para in this district. I think she's actually worked in every building and will be greatly missed. Some of these paras that have started that long ago, got some really specific training through the ISD that they don't do anymore. Still working on getting some of that back. I think it's desperately needed. So she will be a great loss with her skill and her technique. The third correspondence we got is for our, do you want to take this one, or do you know what Chris is?
Well, I know, but I'll let you take it.
No, you can do it.
Well,
Third one is for our own Dr. Chris Lewis.
all right, well, if you're turning it over to me,
I'm
so
gonna
I'm
turn
not
it
out
over
of
to you.
order. I'd like to echo your comments about Julie and Marion, having had a chance to work with both of them closely for many years, and Marion and I teaching together over at the middle school back in the day. So, well said. And Dr. Lewis has received the Level 3 Award of Distinction from MASB, so based on professional development and your involvement on the board, and a number of other things that you could probably talk more articulately to than I can. There's different levels of mastery, proficiency as a member of a board, and this is a pretty significant achievement that only really noticed a couple other people being able to earn. So well done, and thank you for your service and going above and beyond to serve the schools in the way that you are.
Thank you very much, Chris. That takes a lot of work
Are
to
we
do
clapping?
those classes.
I think we're clapping.
All right, this brings us to our second citizen comments of the evening. At this moment, at this time, you can address the board on anything that you would like to let us know. You have 3 minutes, and I will give you a 1-minute warning.
Question, if there's two things that you'd like to speak about differing, is that still set, same amount of set?
Yeah, you have 3 minutes, so you can speak on both of those things. I
Okay.
will just set my timer. Give me 1 minute to get it going. And can you speak your name and your address?
My name is Ron Baker. I'm a resident of Williamston. My address is 2050 North Williamston Road. I've been a lifelong citizen, so.
Okay, your 3 minutes starts now.
Okay, first thing I want to talk about is there's a lot of confusion about what's going on at the bus garage. There's some bus drivers that have left and the circumstances being unclear. A lot of people have heard retiring, and then we get an email that suggested that it was an unanticipated thing. A lot of confusion about somebody who's going to retire leaving in the middle of the year. Not just one, but then all of a sudden, maybe like a couple of days after that was announced, another bus driver ended up disappearing. I'm not saying like she disappeared, but she's no longer on the roster. So a lot of people are just kind of confused on what all is going on. Like, I've heard that it was for personal reasons, and if it was for personal reasons, could I at least reach out to the bus driver to see what those reasons were? Because, I mean, my children have ridden the bus of one of the bus drivers for like 5 years. So it's kind of a concerning thing that if it was really a personal thing, that maybe he would have let us know. One thing I would like to mention is that when the person said that they were retiring, my daughter, who's in 5th grade, noticed that he was visibly upset. And that being said, I have anxiety and depression, and she can kind of tell when something isn't right. So she asked me, well, can you reach out to him? And I go, well, I don't necessarily know what the reason was, and I don't want any sort of legal ramifications coming to that person. So I guess kind of what I want to see is, can I contact that person, figure out what happened, and if there was an issue, that it was handled appropriately by the supervisor or whatever had happened there, just for knowledge, just to know what's going on with the people, because the man who lost his job had done very well as far as anybody who's ever had a kid ride that bus, and it was very unnerving to find out that somebody who's done so well at their job was kind of just disappeared. There was no real reason for that. My second thing I want to talk about is Friday. Okay, go ahead. On Friday, I went to pick up my children, Wendell right there, who is 8 years old, and my youngest daughter, who is 6, Irene. I went to the Walker station, who I had called ahead of time to let them know that the bus arrangements had been changed. My wife has since talked to the principal of the Discovery Elementary, and she said that she's going to work on some things, but the issue was that my children had managed to walk away from Walker Station, one of them wearing a bright red jacket, the other wearing a bright red backpack, and had made it all the way to Grand River before anybody had known what had happened. Now, as a parent, I'm like, I know my kids are just trying to be more independent, but at the same time, I'm very frustrated that with 3 people being at Walker Station, that nobody was there to see 2 children walk off. And this is just something that I probably will be back to talk about, just to see what the changes will be to that, because it is just, I've already talked to my children, but I am like deep. Is that it?
That is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else would like to address the board? When we have citizen comments, it is a time for the community to kind of address us. We don't have the luxury of answering questions or addressing the people in the audience. I would like to, though, just remind board members that I do understand the frustration of community members when we have staff that leave or, for whatever reason, retire or, take a leave or are absent. Community really wants to know. We are bound by, because they are employees, of that confidentiality piece that we can't discuss that. And I get that that's really frustrating, but we can't just give out telephone numbers or addresses or let you know what happened, because we don't have that right. And it's not just a school thing, it's not our thing, it is a legal thing. So I get that that frustration is there. And so I just wanted to say, I mean, I can't say that much, and I'm sure Dr. Spina will be looking into the Walker Station. We'll talk after. Any other citizen comments? Okay, any board?
Can I ask a question? I mean, I would prefer to, I don't know if you want my name or not.
So you can ask any of us a question at the end of the board meeting. If you would like to address the board, you can come and you have 3
Okay,
minutes.
no, I'll wait till the end then, thank you.
Any other board member reports or requests?
The PTSA.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
The PTSA did send us a flyer about Ice Cream Social, and for many years we've ran one of their booths and did one of their games, presented prizes. If that's something that we want to do again, I can reach out to them and let them know, and maybe get a really good game.
I say the sooner the better. If you
Yeah,
want
the
a good
sooner the
game.
better. Sometimes we've had really good games, sometimes we haven't. I will not be here. When is the ice cream social again? Do you guys have that pulled up?
It is May 16th, 6
Yeah.
to 8 p.m.
I will not be here, so if we know that, and we can wait until April 1st, that gives us a little bit of time.
I'm not able to attend, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Sarah and I have done it in the past, so if you guys can look at your calendars and let you know, Deb can be there.
Yeah, I did it last year.
All right. So if we probably should have one more person, depending on the game that's chosen can get really busy. So let me know so I can let them know.
I can do it.
You
May
can do it?
16th.
May 16th, yeah.
6 to
I
8.
was gone last year.
All right. If the rest of you, can show up, take a turn, whatever, that would be great. But right now, at least we have Deb and Julie, and I will let her know that we would like a booth. Anything else?
Are they not looking for baskets then?
I am gonna call her. I don't know. It
I
does.
see they want sponsorship, but I don't see anything saying about baskets.
Right, and usually the baskets are done by the classes. We've just offered one, or we've just pulled something together. So I will ask her about that. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, but I can reach out to her. All right, anybody else? All right, can I have and again, just to remind you, we do have a meeting April 1st. It's really important. That's when we're looking at the bond and have to approve that language. So if you will not be here on April 1st, I really need to know, because we need to have quorum. And then our next official meeting is April 8th. Now, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
So first by Chris, second.
Second.
Second by Julie. Any other discussion?
Second time this meeting, she called you Julie.
Oh, was it? I really thought it was you. It wasn't, it was Sarah? Okay.
We're good.
Do we have that? Well, Julie didn't say anything, so we need to do Sarah. She probably had that. I thought it was you, I really did. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Everybody have a great spring break.